Today we travel back 35 years ago to December 16th, 1990, a cold night in St. Louis, Missouri. It's time to revisit a show many remember for better, but mostly for the worst. As a turning point in NWA WCW history, Starrcade 1990 Collision Course. Grab your steel cage pass, your old VHS, and maybe a cold drink because today we go full retro. We've got the whole card to run through: the tournament, the bull rope match, a street fight tag team title match, and of course the big steel cage main event. What worked, what bombed, and what felt like cheap filler. So sit back, we're on a collision course.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Welcome to and new. Oh yeah!
It's going to be the biggest battleground in the history of our sport.
As God is my witness, he is broken in half.
But I'm better than you,
And you know it. You want some? Come get some.
Acknowledge me.
The irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
Welcome, wrestling fans, to the Wrestling Universe Channel's podcast, where pro wrestling fans discuss what we love: pro wrestling. So as always, if it's your first time listening in, we, the Wrestling Universe Channel, would like to thank you for taking the time to listen. And if you have returned, we want to give you a special shout out of thanks for sticking around the Wrestling Universe Channel. We invite you to follow us on YouTube and Spotify. Links below.
World Championship Wrestling presents an event of galactic proportions. Starrcade 90 Collision Course, a live pay-per-view spectacular. On December 16th, the superstars of the NWA are traveling at light speed toward the ultimate confrontation. Starrcade 90 Collision Course. More than the World Heavyweight title hangs in the balance as Sting leaps into the ring, facing a masked menace from his past. Can he unmask? Can he conquer the Black Scorpion? Plus, the first ever Tag Team Championship of the Universe. An explosive invasion of top tag teams from around the cosmos. The battle continues as Lex Luger and Stan Hansen go head-to-head for the U.S. Heavyweight title. Plus, Doom, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and more. Don't miss an explosive night that'll rock the universe. Starrcade 90 Collision Course. A live pay-per-view spectacular Sunday, December 16th.
By late 1990, the roster of what was still technically the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA, was evolving under the banner of World Championship Wrestling. Starrcade, since its 1987 pay-per-view debut, had become the promotion's biggest show of the year. The major hook was the payoff of the infamous Black Scorpion angle, a long-running mystery that built to a showdown with the champion, Sting. Another big part of the show was the newly introduced Pat O'Connor Memorial International Tag Team Tournament, designed to feature tag teams from around the world, perhaps to give Starrcade an international flair and some global competition energy. Meanwhile, tag team and mid-card division matches filled out the undercard, a mix of established teams and newer stars giving depth, or at least variety, to the card itself. As one of the final big NWA branded events before WCW fully emerged as its own identity officially on the 1st of this month, Starrcade 1990 represents a bridge, a last stand, if you will, of a certain old school wrestling ethos while the company tried to grow and experiment. The decision to have the Pat O'Connor Memorial International Cup Tag Team Tournament at Starrcade 1990 was made by World Championship Wrestling, then part of the NWA, as a tribute to the recently deceased former NWA World Champion and trainer Pat O'Connor, bringing in teams from around the world to honor his legacy. Pat O'Connor, a New Zealand native and former NWA World Champion known for his training, passed away in August of 1990. The creative direction and booking decision at the time for WCW NWA would have fallen under its leadership, likely Jim Herd, but still not officially determined that this was Jim Herd's idea. Let's take a peek behind that mysterious curtain 35 years ago on what drama, situations, politics, everything hush hush that only the dirt sheets somehow got a hold of. It's time to go behind the curtain. From the November 26, 1990 Wrestling Observer newsletter, in the top story that should surprise absolutely no one who has been following his career through 1990, Dusty Rhodes gave his notice to the World Wrestling Federation and will finish up at the Royal Rumble on January 19th. By a staggering coincidence, word is also out on the street that Ole Anderson is done as booker for World Championship Wrestling around the same time. Although, of course, everyone in the office is denying it thoroughly. Mike Rotundo has been repackaged again, this time into rich guy Michael Wall Street. TBS makeup girl Terry Boatwright has been turned into his manager, Alexander York, who carries a computer and predicts the outcomes of his match using a program. The idea was Tony Schiavone's, but it's based on a Jim Herd idea from 1988, as he originally wanted to turn Sting into the Wall Street Warrior when Turner first bought the company. From the December 3rd, 1990 Wrestling Observer newsletter, the Nasty Boys gave notice on the day of the Clash of the Champions 13, so they were booked to run away from fights with the Steiners twice on the show, and they'll end up in the World Wrestling Federation right away. Jim Herd offered them guaranteed deals for about $156,000 each, and the Nasty Boys turned him down. Still no confirmation on the appointment of Dusty Rhodes as the new booker for World Championship Wrestling. But no one is denying it, and everyone backstage is pretty much treating it as fact. Dusty is still working shows until the end of the year, mostly putting over Sergeant Slaughter on his way out. Dusty still had a contract, but Vince McMahon agreed to let him out without legal entanglement as long as he agreed to put everyone over on the way out and stay until the Royal Rumble. From the December 17th, 1990 Wrestling Observer newsletter, the Nasty Boys are set to debut this week in Florida at a World Wrestling Federation TV taping. Speculation is still running rampant in the wake of Ole Anderson getting fired as booker. Dusty Rhodes is certainly the top candidate, and that theory is bolstered by the house show results from the past week, which saw Dusty doing 90-second jobs to Virgil at every show. And yet, the top guys in World Championship Wrestling insist that no one's even spoken to him about the job. Their list supposedly includes Terry Funk, Eddie Gilbert, Ken Mantella, and Jerry Jarrett, with Bill Watts having already turned them down. Let's dive into the business side of this event, where we talk revenue, attendance, and impact. The attendance for Starrcade 1990 was about 7,200 fans at the Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis, Missouri. The pay-per-view buys were about 165,000 homes. A modest but not terrible figure for World Championship Wrestling at the time. Gate revenue, based on some sources, roughly about $93,425. It's a reader's poll in the January 8th, 1991 edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. 234 out of 447 fans that responded giving the show a thumbs up. 176 gave it a thumbs down, with the remaining 37 giving it a thumbs in the middle reaction. Okay, this card is stacked. In fact, there is a total of 14 matches. I mean, yeah. This is World Championship Wrestling's version of WrestleMania, but man, sitting through 14 matches and any dark matches in 1990, we're talking rough. So we won't go too heavy into everything, but stick to important matches. First up, it's beautiful Bobby Eaton taking on Tom Zink. Eaton defeated Zink with an inside cradle around 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Dave Meltzer gave this match a 3-star rating. According to a retro review, this match had some decent spots. The Z-Man started with mat work and took Eaton to the floor. There was a dive over the ropes, a top rope Alabama jam miss, a backdrop, a neck breaker, some crowd reaction. This match was to illustrate that while undercard was serviceable, it didn't set the world on fire, but it wasn't a complete throwaway either. And now let's move forward to the next several matches that are part of the Pat O'Connor Memorial International Tag Team Tournament. These are the results from the quarterfinals. Representing the USA, the Steiner brothers defeated South African representation of Sergeant Kruger and Colonel de Klerk. Meltzer gave this match 1.25 stars. Representing Mexico was Conan and Rey Mysterio Sr., who defeated the tag team representing the United Kingdom, Chris Adams and Norman Smiley. Dave Meltzer gave this match a 1.5 star. Then we got to see the tag team representing Japan, which was the Great Muta and Mr. Sato, defeating the representation team from New Zealand, Jack Victory and Rip Morgan. Dave Meltzer gave this rating 1.75 stars. And finally, it was the tag team representing the USSR, Victor, I'm gonna pronounce this badly, Zangerviv, yeah, it's not even close, and Salomon Hashimitsgif, oh, yeah, totally bad. My apologies. But overall, they defeated Team Canada, representing Danny Johnston and Troy Montour. Dave Meltzer gave this match a -1.25 stars. The idea of the International Tag Team Tournament in theory could have been very cool. Cross-style matchups, East versus West, bringing in foreign stars, but in execution, the matches reportedly felt rushed and many didn't even break 5 minutes. Critics of the show say the whole tournament dragged down the pacing. Moving on to the 6th match of the show, we saw Michael Wall Street defeat Terry Taylor via pinfall in 6 minutes and 52 seconds. Dave Meltzer gave this 2.25 stars. The 7th match, a tag team match. The Skyscrapers defeated Big Cat and the Motor City Madman via pinfall in 1 minute and 1 second. Dave Meltzer gave this match 2.5 stars. The 8th match, we saw Tommy Rich and Ricky Morton defeat the Fabulous Freebirds via pinfall in 6 minutes and 13 seconds. Dave Meltzer gave this match rating 1 star. Let's return back to now the semifinals of the tournament, as the Steiner brothers defeated Conan and Rey Mysterio in the semis via pinfall in 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Dave Meltzer gave this match 1.25 star. Following that, the 10th match was the Great Muta and Mr. Sato defeating, I'm not even going to pronounce them again, but the USSR team. The USSR team via pinfall in 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Dave Meltzer gave this match rating 1 star. Okay, let's move forward to one of the matches that definitely brought us to the dance, and that is the 11th match. It is a bull rope match for the NWA United States title. The champion, Stan Hansen, defends his title against the former champion, Lex Luger. For this occasion, let's do something a little different, wrestling fans. Let's bring in a special voice that fans from the 70s and 80s remember quite well.
By late 1990, Lex Luger was one of WCW's top rising stars. Earlier that year, he had lost the U.S. title to the Lariat Stan Hansen, a feared American bruiser most famous for his wild, stiff brawling style in All Japan Pro Wrestling. Hansen's run in WCW was short but intense. He was presented as an unpredictable wrecking ball who didn't care about company rules or politics. In October 1990 at Halloween Havoc, Hansen defeated Luger in a somewhat controversial finish to win the U.S. Championship. Check our podcast archive to learn more. The rematch at Starrcade was booked as a bull rope match fitting Hansen's Texas roots and outlaw image. With both men tied to opposite ends of a heavy rope with a cowbell in the center, the match guaranteed brawling, minimal technical wrestling, and unpredictable chaos. The bell rings, and immediately Hansen swings the cowbell like a weapon, charging forward in that signature wild man style. Luger ducks the first swing, but Hansen jerks the rope toward him and catches him with forearms and heavy clubbing shots. Hansen wastes no time dragging Luger into the corner, smashing his face into the turnbuckle while jerking on the rope to keep the challenger off balance. Luger fires back with big right hands, and the crowd erupts, but Hansen cuts him off by yanking the rope downward, sending Luger face first into the top turnbuckle. Hansen begins choking Luger with the rope, leaning all his weight into it, daring the referee to stop him. In a bull rope match, the ref can only stand by and watch. Hansen wraps the rope around his fist and blasts Luger with a stiff punch that sends him to the mat. He tries dropping an elbow, but Luger rolls away and rallies with clotheslines that stagger the champion. Luger grabs the cowbell and pops Hansen in the forehead, and suddenly a cut opens, Hansen bleeding as his wild eyes get wider. Luger whips Hansen with the rope, driving him corner to corner. Hansen tries a desperation lariat, but the rope restricts his range, and he misses. Luger lands a power slam, the crowd surging behind him. The rope tightens between them as both men fight for control. In the final sequence, Hansen grabs the cowbell again and swings wildly, but Luger ducks, hits a running forearm, and covers. The referee drops to count 1, 2, 3. The crowd explodes. Lex Luger wins the U.S. title, gaining redemption and surviving a violent style that played entirely into Hansen's strengths.
This match lasted 10 minutes and 13 seconds. Dave Meltzer's rating, 3.25 stars. Continuing on with the 12th match, it's for the NWA Tag Team titles, which is decided in a street fight match. It's the champions Doom taking on two members of the Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson and Barry Windham. And let's continue with the trend. Let's have that magical voice continue the rundown of this match.
The rivalry between Doom and the Horseman duo of Arn Anderson and Barry Windham was rooted in months of chaotic brawls, double-team attacks, and competitive tag team battles. Doom had grown into one of the toughest, most respected teams of 1990, powerful no-nonsense bruisers managed by Teddy Long. Meanwhile, Arn and Barry were the spinal cord of the Four Horsemen, the enforcers, the technicians, the smart, ruthless veterans who always found a way to exploit weakness. Adding in the fact that Doom and Teddy Long took out Ric Flair prior to this event would add fuel to this rivalry. Their earlier matches were violent, but Starrcade raised the stakes, a street fight where anything goes and pinfalls count anywhere. It was marketed as the final showdown, the last chapter in a feud built on pride, toughness, and dominance in the tag division. Before the bell even finishes ringing, all four men charge each other and start swinging. There's no feeling out process, just fists, boots, and bodies colliding. Doom immediately uses their power advantage to shove Arn and Barry into opposite corners, hammering them with body shots. Windham escapes and nails Simmons with a steel chair from ringside. Simmons drops to one knee, but Reed spears Windham into the guardrail, showing the intensity Doom brought into this match. Arn Anderson, ever the master strategist, focuses on isolating Simmons, using the environment to his advantage. He slams Simmons' face into the ring apron, grabs a wooden chair, and smashes it across Simmons' back. But Simmons fires up, absorbing the shot, and sends Arn careening over the barricade with a clothesline. Inside the ring, Reed and Windham trade fists, with Reed gaining the upper hand and hitting a huge whip into the corner. The ring shakes from the impact. Windham grabs Reed's legs, dragging him outside, and Arn joins him as the Horsemen double-team Reed on the floor, stomping him against the steel steps. Simmons comes charging around the corner like a freight train, leveling Arn with a shoulder block that sends him crashing into the timekeeper's area. The brawl spills into the aisle, where Windham beats Simmons with a broken piece of wooden chair, snapping it across his back. Reed brings the fight back into the ring with Windham. He hits a flying shoulder block and the place erupts, but Arn enters, clipping Reed's knee out from behind. Classic Anderson-style precision. With Reed down, both horsemen stomp him relentlessly, trying to score a quick pin, but Simmons dives in to break it up. The match turns into chaos. Bodies flying, fists landing, chair shots echoing. There's no clear advantage, just relentless punishment. In the final minute, both teams collapse to the mat. Windham covers Reed while Anderson covers Simmons. Double pin attempts. The referee, confused, counts both pins simultaneously. He calls for the bell. The ruling, no contest. Doom retains the titles due to the inconclusive finish. The crowd is furious at the non-finish, but the match itself becomes the most intense, brutal highlight of the entire show. A fight that felt real, raw, and unfinished. This is the match highlight from this event. A must-see.
This match lasted 17 minutes and 19 seconds. Dave Meltzer gave this match 4 stars. In the 13th match, it was the Pat O'Connor Tag Team Tournament Final, as the Steiner brothers defeated the Great Muta and Mr. Sato via pinfall in 10 minutes and 52 seconds. Dave Meltzer gave this match 3.25 stars. And the final match, the 14th match, the main event. The NWA World Heavyweight title was to be decided in the confines of a steel cage, as the man they called Sting defended his title against the Black Scorpion. And for the final time, let's have Mr. Soley break this match down.
The Black Scorpion storyline was WCW's attempt at a mysterious, magical, theatrical antagonist in 1990. For months, the Scorpion taunted Sting with cryptic promos, illusions, and psychological mind games. Multiple wrestlers portrayed the Scorpion during the build, creating confusion and a sense that the figure was supernatural. The story, in kayfabe, Sting knew the Scorpion from his past in California, but didn't know who was under the mask. The Scorpion claimed Sting betrayed him and vowed revenge. WCW promised that the real Black Scorpion would be unmasked at Starrcade. Behind the scenes, the angle was difficult to book. Multiple workers played the character, fan interest fluctuated, and internally WCW decided the reveal needed to be someone huge. They ultimately chose Ric Flair, even though the Horseman leader had no previous ties to the gimmick. It was a last-minute decision to give Sting a meaningful opponent for a Starrcade main event. As eerie music plays, the Scorpion's theme, Sting enters fired up, but with caution. Months of psychological torment have left him tense. The Black Scorpion arrives with a theatrical entrance, robe flowing, mask shining under the arena lights. He steps into the cage, trapping both men inside. The bell rings, and Sting rushes him. No hesitation. Right hands land with fire, and the crowd surges. Sting whips the Scorpion into the turnbuckle, then across the ring into the opposite corner, hitting a stinger splash that shakes the cage. Scorpion stumbles out, and Sting goes for a second splash, but Scorpion dodges, sending Sting crashing into the steel. The masked man grabs the rope, using leverage to ram Sting's head again and again into the cage wall. For the first time, Scorpion takes control, slowing the pace. He hits clubbing forearms to the back, scoop slams, and chokes Sting with his boot. The crowd boos as the masked villain tries to grind Sting down. Sting rallies with a burst of energy, catching Scorpion with a hip toss, then a drop kick that sends him flying into the cage. Sting hits another stinger splash, this time connecting, and the mask nearly comes off as Scorpion collapses. But Scorpion plays possum, catching Sting in a sleeper hold. The crowd tenses as Sting drops to a knee, but he powers up, slamming Scorpion backward into the turnbuckles. Sting lifts the Scorpion onto the top rope, ripping at the mask, trying to expose him. Scorpion fights back desperately, raking the eyes. He jumps off the ropes with a diving chop, sending Sting crashing down. Now both men are exhausted. The Scorpion signals for a suplex, but Sting reverses, landing one of his own. He roars, shaking the ropes, firing up. He hoists Scorpion and delivers a big stinger slam. Sting covers. 1, 2, 3. The crowd erupts. The babyface music hits. Sting stands tall, but the drama isn't over. Sting grabs the mask and finally pulls it free. The arena gasps. It's Ric Flair. The Nature Boy staggers up, red-faced and furious, as the crowd reacts in disbelief. The Black Scorpion era ends, not with supernatural mystery, but with Ric Flair exposed as Sting's tormentor, setting up the next chapter in their long rivalry.
Sting defeated the Black Scorpion to retain the NWA World title in 18 minutes and 31 seconds. Dave Meltzer gave this match the rating of 3/4 stars. And fans, we want to take a moment to actually thank our sponsor, 11labs, for this episode. If you're looking to create a lifelike audio with 11labs AI voice generator, you can produce the most realistic speech with ease. Whether it's for audiobooks, video voiceovers, commercials, or any project that needs human-like narration, 11labs has got you covered. 11labs offers 32 languages. Their platform is perfect for all your audio needs. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description below to explore more about 11labs today. Alright wrestling fans, get your erasers out. It's time for us to be the bookers for this event. It's the segment of the show that really starts making all of us fans a fantasy booker. Here are some what-if scenarios and or ideas about this event for many of you to ponder and discuss. What if Doom vs. the Horsemen in the street fight had a clean finish, and Anderson and Wyndham won the NWA titles? Ron Simmons and Butch Reed were booked as unstoppable powerhouses, credible, physical, and dominant in 1990. The Horseman version of Arn Anderson and Barry Windham were incredible workers, but this match was known for the chaotic finish that protected everyone and extended the feud. But what if we go in a completely different direction? Let's look at the benefits here. The Four Horsemen were traditionally portrayed as the elite faction of the company. Anderson and Wyndham winning the belts clean would reinforce the wrestling narrative that the Four Horsemen always find a way to get the gold, provide a fresh power dynamic, Doom chasing the titles instead of defending them. This could spark a hotter, more personal rematch program into early 1991. The second benefit to this what if would be pushing Ron Simmons' singles credibility sooner. If Doom loses, tensions could realistically rise between Simmons and Reed. Reed could blame Simmons for the loss. Simmons' rise in a singles main event threat, which historically peaked in 1992, could have begun a year earlier. This may accelerate Ron Simmons' journey to becoming the first recognized African American world champion. The third benefit, it would extend the Barry Windham push. Windham was legit one of the best wrestlers alive in 1990. Giving him a tag team title run with Arn Anderson elevates him even more and gives future title programs against the Steiner brothers, against the Rock and Roll Express, against the Freebirds more significance. The downside though, Doom loses their aura. Doom's biggest strength was their dominance. A clean loss to a street fight, a match style designed for them, undermines their monster credibility. The overall risks, it would kill the momentum for Simmons and Reed that they were finally getting. It would also make them look like transitional champions. Let's face it, it would damage the future drawing power of Doom. Let's move on to our second what if, and this is a big one. What if Ric Flair wasn't the Black Scorpion? The Black Scorpion storyline was originally designed as a mysterious former rival from Sting's past. The problem? The National Wrestling Alliance didn't decide who the Black Scorpion actually was until the very end. Al Perez started the role, but the creative team panicked when he didn't want to do the steel cage match. So they put Ric Flair in the costume, even though it contradicted the entire storyline premise. But who could have actually been the perfect reveal? We have a couple options. Option number 1, Tully Blanchard. Why would Tully Blanchard fit? Tully had a real history with Sting at the end of the Crockett era. His promo style would have elevated the entire gimmick. He's one of the few people believable enough to haunt Sting's past. A shocking return to Starrcade after the World Wrestling Federation ending would have blown the roof off the building. But why it wouldn't also happen? In late 1990, Tully Blanchard failed a drug test and was blacklisted by WCW. WCW did not want to rehire him at all, point blank. This would have been the most emotional and heel-perfect option. A returning bitter Tully Blanchard tormenting Sting, adding in real-life drama to this entertainment style. We could have seen money. Here's the second option of someone else that could have been replaced instead of Ric Flair. Chris Adams, the realistic outside hire. Why does Chris Adams fit? Gentleman Chris Adams had legitimate star credibility from world-class championship wrestling. Known for his super kick, technical skill, and charisma, he was an international star with a mysterious aura. WCW loved signing former WCCW talent, such as Steve Austin, who signed shortly after this event. Why could this idea work? Chris Adams could have been positioned as a former rival of Sting's early days, who was never given his due. It fits the Black Scorpion storyline perfectly. The downside? Chris Adams wasn't nationally known enough for a pay-per-view level reveal, as well as the fact it might not generate the shock value World Championship Wrestling wanted. The third option? The original plan, Al Perez. Why Al Perez fits? Perez was underused but credible. He worked well under a mask. He matched the mysterious rival from the past tone. But why wouldn't it have worked? Point blank, he did not want to lose to Sting on the pay-per-view. And he wasn't a big enough name for a final reveal. So besides those three options, why was Ric Flair the right choice? The pros? Flair is always a safe main event choice. The Sting vs. Flair rivalry always delivered great matches. The company could trust Ric Flair with the cage stunt. It was a guaranteed box office stability. The cons though, it undermines the entire mysterious past rival storyline. The reveal felt like a creative cop-out. Fans knew immediately it was Ric Flair just because, well, you'll remember. It damaged the intended mystique of the Black Scorpion character. But overall, the final verdict, Ric Flair was the safest choice, but not the right one for the story they were telling. From a pure narrative and mysterious standpoint, Tully Blanchard would have been the best emotional payoff. From a fresh talent injection standpoint, Chris Adams would have been the best realistic hire. What are your guys' thoughts on what we talked about? What are your what ifs? Do you agree or disagree with what we had to say? And what else would you like to add to this conversation? Leave it in the comments below. The standouts and lowlights of Starrcade 1990. The tag team street fight, arguably the most energetic, chaotic match on the card and one that has aged relatively well. Some undercard matches like Eaton vs. Zinc had decent wrestling show value and showed effort to give the card depth. The Steiner brothers winning the International Tag Team Tournament, at least from a booking perspective, gave a global champion feel to a top US tag team, though execution was flawed. And what bombed? What aged poorly? What were the lowlights of Starrcade 1990? Top of the list, the main event. The cage match is widely criticized as dull, heatless, and not delivering the drama fans expected after a long Black Scorpion build. The International Tournament, good idea in theory, but it practiced rush matches, little build, and low stakes. Many matches didn't even break 5 minutes. And lastly, the crowded card. There was a lot of matches. It diluted the focus and made the show feel overstuffed. Many reviewers and fans consider Starrcade 1990 a low point, or at best, a mediocre Starrcade. The overpacked card, weak main event, and poorly executed tournament left a mark. But some see Starrcade 1990 as emblematic of a period of creative stagnation or misdirection for World Championship Wrestling. A sign they were trying too many things at once without coherent storytelling or pacing. The street fight tag match, the concept of the international tournament, and the attempt to deliver a big mystery angle payoff. World Championship Wrestling's presentation of Starrcade 1990 is a bit of a time capsule. A big show with big ideas. Some that landed, many that didn't. But it tells a story about a promotion trying to find direction, wrestling trying to expand, and a transitional moment in the business. Maybe it's flawed, but it's worth watching. Why, you ask? To learn from it, or, dare we say, to appreciate the ambition. As always, we appreciate and thank you all for taking the time to be a part of our episode here on the Wrestling Universe channel. Please let us know how we did, or if you have anything you would like to contribute to this episode, we would love to hear your feedback. And you know the drill. Follow us on all of our social platforms, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify, and we look forward to the next episode. So long, wrestling fans.